Will the DRIP committee meeting of August 5th come to order? The time is now 1:37. If everyone can please silence their cell phones or other noise-making devices, that will help our cause. Members, in accordance with the Sunshine Law, if you are not in the Kalanapakui conference room, please identify by name who, if anyone, is in the room, vehicle, or workspace with you today. Minors do not need to be identified. Also, please see the last page of the agenda for information on meeting connectivity. My name is Tamara Paultin, and I'll be your chair for today's DRIP committee meeting. With us, we have Vice Chair Nohe Hodgins. Aloha Winala.
Aloha, Chair. Aloha, everyone. I'm at my private workspace. I do have one minor home with me today, but in preparation for executive session, he's already in his own room with his door closed, with his Bose noise canceling headset on, living his best after school life. Thank you.
I am jealous. Next up, we have Councilmember Kawanoi Batangan. Aloha Winala.
Aloha Winala Kako.
Next up, Councilmember Tom Cook. Aloha Winala.
Aloha Winala, Chair.
Next up, Councilmember Gabe Johnson. Aloha Winala.
Aloha, good afternoon, Chair, Council members, committee members. There's no testifiers here at the Lanai District Office, and I'm alone on my side of the office and ready to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Council Chair Alice Lee. Aloha Winala.
Aloha Winala. Thank you.
Next up, Councilmember Keani Rollins Fernandez. Aloha Winala.
Aloha awina la kako. My Molokai nui ahina. I'm at my private residence. I'm alone right now. My children will be home in about an hour from their first day of school, as well as my husband, McKenna Fernandez. And there are no testifiers at the Molokai District Office.
Thank you. Sending all of our love and aloha and good thoughts to Councilmember Shane Senensi, who is excused from this meeting, and I have been notified that there are no testifiers at the Hana District Office. Next up, we have Councilmember Yukile Sugimura. Aloha Winala.
Aloha, and looking forward to this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. This meeting of the Disaster Recovery International Affairs and Planning Committee of the Maui County Council is located on the traditional Aina of Kanaka Oiwi, who never ceded their sovereignty to the United States. We recognize that Her Majesty Queen Liliuokalani yielded the Hawaiian Kingdom to the U.S. in duress under threat of violence to avoid the bloodshed of her people. We further recognize that Hawaii remains an illegally occupied nation state by the U.S. as documented in a 2021 scholarly article by adjunct professor of law for the National Lawyers Guild Review by Andrew Reed, adjunct professor of law at the University of Denver Sturm College of Law. Generations of Kanaka Maoli and their knowledge systems have sustainably cared for Hawaii and continue to do so. We are grateful to occupy this space and learn the ways in which we can contribute. As a committee, we seek to support the various strategies that the Indigenous people of Hawaii are using to protect their land and their communities and commit to dedicating time and resources to working in solidarity. From the Department of Water Supply, we have Deputy Director of Water Supply, Kimo Lengraf. From the Department of Management, we have Managing Director, Josiah Nishita, and Office of Recovery Administrator, John Smith. From the Department of Housing, we have Director of Housing, Remy Mitchell. From the Department of Human Concerns, we have the Director of Human Concerns, Maggie Willis. From Corporation Counsel, we have Deputy Corp Counsel Hopper. And in case of executive session, we have Deputy Corp Counsels Rowe and Zhao. And there's other resources in the room, and I'll identify them if and when we need them for your questions or discussion. We also have DRIP committee staff with us this afternoon. We have Senior Committee Secretary Yvette Boutillier. We have Supervising Legislative Analyst James Kruger, Legislative Analyst Jarrett Pasquale, Ryan Ramirez, and Legislative Attorney Carla Nakata, and I believe Assistant Clerk Dean Pokipa. We will take testimony after opening remarks and presentations on the only item on today's agenda, DRIP 9.4 Maui's long-term recovery operations, which is Rule 7B under the rules of the council. The committee intends to receive a presentation on Maui's long-term recovery operations from representatives of the Office of Recovery and the Department of Water Supply. No votes will be taken today, but some of the matters that we will be discussing and other related things are first updates on Maui's long-term recovery plan, including infrastructure and workforce development, outlooks on the disaster case management program transition to county control from the State Department of Human Services, including transitioning the program's participants from temporary to permanent housing, and a proposed acquisition of Laniapoko Irrigation Company Inc.'s water infrastructure assets and a portion of Kamehameha School's lands in Ku'ia to assist with long-term recovery efforts. So this item was agendized at the request of the administration. The administration will provide a comprehensive recovery update with a PowerPoint. And then Department of Human Services also has a PowerPoint. Then we can receive opening comments from management, water supply, housing, human concerns, and Corp Counsel. Executive session is anticipated for specific topics, such as the last item, especially a proposed acquisition of Laniapoko Irrigation Companies, all that stuff I said earlier. And depending on the direction the discussion goes, there may be different reasons why we would go into executive session. One reason could be for negotiation information, and the other would be to meet with our legal counsel. Depending on the reason why we go into executive session, we'll have to be very clear, because different reasons would require different resources, and we don't want resources that have nothing to do with the reason to be in the executive session with us. So it may be more than one executive session, depending on where the conversation goes and what the reason is that we're going into executive session. I hope that's clear to everyone. That being said, I'd love to ask the Office of Recovery or the Managing Director, whoever is driving the PowerPoint and presentation, to take it away, folks.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, members of the committee, for allowing us to be here today. Thank you to Committee Chair Paulton and her staff for helping us arrange this meeting, especially to provide some important updates and to get the committee's feedback on some of the items coming before us here. It's always great to hear your folks' perspective and understanding of any concerns or questions, so that we can ensure that we're all aligned on all the initiatives going forward. This week marks the 3-year anniversary of the August 2023 wildfires. And, we also just want to continue to express our appreciation so much to all of the stakeholders, community groups, residents, businesses, the council, our state legislators, federal resources. The gamut is so large about how much appreciation we have and how much hard work everyone has put into this. We'll have to keep our presentation fairly brief today, just because there's so many meaty topics at play. And for the sake of trying to help focus and the discussion and questions in relation to it, we'll try to be as brief as possible. But of course, if there's any additional information needed, or the committee would like additional explanations or presentations into any of these matters, we're happy to come back and just spend a full committee meeting on any one of these items as needed. Next slide, please. So, from the beginning, this is, we've really driven home that this is a community-led, government-supported recovery process. Some of the efforts that we'll highlight today, there's really 4 kind of meaty topics, so to say. One is to just do a brief highlight at some of the recovery efforts and progress thus far. The temp to perm housing situation, and kind of our coordination with the state and our federal partners. a focus really on connecting our community's priorities and what has been shared with us in terms of housing and infrastructure. Big pieces of that today will be discussed in terms of additional land potentially for housing, as well as continued discussion that we've had, I feel like over the past 2 weeks, about the county's efforts to secure public stewardship of private systems. Next slide, please. So what you'll see here is a very high level little timeline. I'm sorry, next slide past that. What you'll see is a very high level timeline of just some major pieces that have happened over the past 3 years. You know, the actual, I think, timeline and updates is too numerous to count, but what you know, what is really neat to see is how far our community has come and how much our community has really pulled together. You know, it's pretty easy to maybe forget some of the major initiatives that had to take place, including multiple debris removal efforts, you know, setting up temporary facilities, establishing permanent facilities, establishing of our Ho'okumaho programs and our CDBG-DR program, securing the federal funding, restoring infrastructure. There's so many key components to this, and our community has played a large part in really driving this forward. Next slide, please. So, you know, as I identified earlier, everything that we're driving forward is really what has been led by the community. This really started through maybe the first really coordinated initiative was our public sentiment analysis done very early after the fires in 2023. That helped lead us in conjunction with community meetings to our recovery needs assessment, which, you know, both of these documents are available online, available for people, where we really had to work with the community and summarize, like, what are the major points, what are the major initiatives to undergo, and what are kind of projects on the horizon that will be important for the community to not only recover, but then thrive past recovery. Following the recovery needs assessment and additional community meetings, of course, we've stood up the Lahaina Long-Term Recovery Plan, as well as received federal funding and initiated our action plan, which helps guides a lot of our recovery efforts, and specifically the federal funding that was received and how that gets implemented in our communities. I'll next slide, please, and I'll turn it over to John to continue our discussion.
Thank you, Josiah, and aloha, Council Chair. Thank you for having us. Always appreciate being here. Different setting than I'm used to, but you have to bear with me standing here. The best place to go for all of the recovery updates is on our website, and I'd like to point you to on the right there, and it shows it on the phone, the Maui Wildfire Recovery Story Map. That's going live today. And so I would encourage you folks to click on the QR code, or whoever's watching in the public, and just go through that on their phone. It's a pretty neat thing to do. I don't want to distract this presentation, but it'll give you all the updates to the long-term recovery plan that have where we started and where we are now and where we're headed. Next slide, please. I was recently at the DRIP committee, and we gave a big presentation on the Kona Low. I wanted to note just a couple updates. When I was there before, we had talked about the state and us petitioning the federal government to include parks. That was excluded. If you recall that discussion, I heard today that actually made it in. So that's a really big positive for the county to be able to go after additional federal funds for that declaration. So that impacts most of you folks and the parks in your districts. And I'm happy to note that the sinkhole was paved, I think, yesterday. Next slide. And this was part of that presentation as well, but it's just a continued reminder of like how Office of Recovery is morphed into like not just taking care of the Lahaina recovery, but it's also other recoveries from major disasters. So we've got, we're continuing to pursue our unfunded needs, which is right now just in infrastructure. It's not housing anything, it's just 950 million. We have big meeting with the EPA tomorrow to talk about other potentials and things like that. So we're looking to go for additional funds beyond what we have with the DR and others that are specific to how do we build back communities after natural disaster. Next slide, please. This is where we are today. Everyone knows we got the 1.6 billion. We presented on that several times. As of today, we've obligated 1.278 billion of that. Following the action plan and following the needs assessment, that's how much from all of those programs that we launched has been obligated to fund those programs. We have 2 more programs launching. We'll come back and talk about them. That'll obligate the rest of it. We are leading the country in efficiency in how we've started all of our programs. So in that same pot of funds that Congress allocated to all the disaster communities, that was a $12 billion package, we received 1.6. We're leading the country in how we've launched our program. So I'm happy to report that as well. Next slide, please. Sorry, I don't have a clicker. This is a slide we show at every community meeting. And you can distill it down in a number of different ways. I'd just like to point out that out of all of the properties that were cleared during debris that had structures on them, 58.5% of all of them have submitted for permitted, already been completed, or on their way to being completed. So that's what's represented in this map and in all the color-coded pieces here. We'll go to the next one to get a little bit more dialed in. These are the projects that are either done or ones that we're funding. That's that 1.27. A lot of that fund is going to help all of these things, especially the ones that are in the pink. Those are the ones that are receiving DR funds to supplement those projects so that they can come back. Next slide. And I know I'm going really fast, but I'm doing it on purpose. I'm happy to come back and dial in on stuff, but there's a whole bunch more content. So I'll just keep going. You can find these stats on Maui Recovers. These are the homes completed. If you've driven through Lahaina recently, you'll note there's a significant amount of construction going on. It's really nice to see. Next slide. But it still leads us to, we have a gap. Like we all know we have a gap because we're not rebuilt completely yet. We have all those multifamily projects that are going to start coming online between 2029 and 2030. So between now and then, we need a solid plan. I know Joe's here from the state, but we've been working together with FEMA, the state, and the county on a pretty massive transition plan. I'll talk a little bit about that now. Next slide. So currently there's 1,100 plus households that are distributed across all of those units on the left. So that's where folks are, and that's the numbers for where they are. And that gap is going to remain between now and 2030, meaning it's not all going to be built back until then. So we know we're going to keep having that gap. Here's where they all are, and here's the programs that we're setting up or that we're utilizing between us and the state. And this is really just a representation of that plan. So we'll be setting up a rental assistance program under the Office of Recovery. We'll be taking over the DCMP program from the state in August, and then we'll be working with either the state or with the federal government on the sites like Kilohana. We can talk a little bit more about those. Ultimately, you'll hear the term decompression, but we don't want to decompress too fast and force people out. So we have to have this 4-year plan in place. Next slide. This is just one example of one of those projects, but the goal is to have these permanent housing rebuilds back up and running by 2030. This is a rendering of Front Street Apartment. They've made it very far along in their planning and permitting process. And we are supplementing that funding through the DR fund, that project. There's a lot of text on this slide, but it's meant to show you how the partnerships are working. We're at the top left as a lead coordinator for the whole effort, and we're officially taking over that role in August. So we've got the county overseeing the DCMP, our rental assistance programs, and how we're funding all the way through that 2030 timeline with the state, with FEMA, and with our nonprofit providers. So it's going to take all of us working together, and we have a attempt to perm group that's been meeting for well over a year now, that's working through this plan. I can dive into these details as much as you want, but really the point of this slide is just to show you how we're working together and how the thing is transitioning. Next slide. Some of the things that you folks are all well aware of that would just hit on real quickly. Paleola EA, that is under Department of Housing's jurisdiction, is going to be continue to be used as a resource for this population. Kalaiola, which is a state-run site, is going to be continued to use, and then Kilohana. The big one is Kilohana for the county. Kilohana is going to move from a federal facility to a county facility. So that's all in progress right now. Then we have the microsites, which FEMA's working with the state on. So we have the Kilohana sites and the microsites. And if you're familiar with the microsites, those are the ones that look a little bit more like what I would consider trailers. We're launching this new rental assistance program, which we're calling the Disaster Interim Housing Program, which includes DCMP. And that starts in August. The next slide. And this represents how that decompression works. It goes from where we are today with the 1,100 plus households, theoretically to zero by 2030. The programs that we've launched in DR to fund Front Street Apartments and to build new homes, or to help folks build new homes, or to get into new homes. That's what's on the left side. And then just the graph represents how we see the population dwindling from today until 2030. I'd like to point out that this is just the recovery population. We understand there's a bigger push countywide with rents going up and people having a harder time with that. We're not ignoring that. We're working in this solution with those solutions, with Department of Housing, with Human Resources, and with the state programs like TANF. Next slide. So while we look at that problem, we know that there's still a need for more inventory. If you can go to the next slide, please. The county, and you guys are all a part of it, of this one, relatively recently purchased the land that's outlined in yellow. That's Waine'e Ku'ia, and that purchase was primarily for flood control and infrastructure, relocation of some businesses that can't be built back where they were. That's all on the left side. But what we're actively considering is, what do we do in this area, and are there opportunities for us to put more houses in this area? Put more houses in the area. How do we make it more fire resilient long term? How do we connect the infrastructure? We've talked in presentations past, and we're working closely with DPW on this, is where do the evacuation routes go? That's Lahaina Luna Road on the far left side of the map. And we know it's a really critical piece of this is, how do we connect the rest of the neighborhood with what's going to happen in the future? So we're exploring those opportunities right now. The landowner adjacent to us happens to be Kamehameha Schools. So we are talking with them, and there's only so many things I'll be able to say about that. We're under an NDA with them right now, but it's worth noting that we're thinking through all of this together, especially because the school site is going back right where that box is. Next slide. This goes back to Josiah's territory, but happy to please fill in if I missed something.
No, just a couple things I would note is, John noted about being the most efficient in the country. Honestly, it's not hyperbole. We actually, they track this stuff. We're the #1 jurisdiction at getting funding out the door to programs, projects, to people. Out of, I think, 47 or so. There's 40 something grantees in the country. And so we've had lots of communities, organizations and whatnot come here to, unfortunately, they've had experienced wildfires of their own and have come here to learn. And in fact, we're hosting some additional communities here shortly to learn how to implement DR programs and how to do things efficiently. And then in relation to the land acquisition, I would just say that it's really a part of connecting the priorities that the community has laid out to us. So as John mentioned about park space and nonprofit services and roadways and drainage and things like that of what we're working on to accomplish at the Waianae area. With the state's selection and location of the school site, as well as to protect that community. We have really shared values, I think, with the landowner adjacent to build fire resilient communities, to protect our community from future events, to build more evacuation routes, more resilient infrastructure. The list goes on. And maybe we got lucky in a sense that the landowner is who it was, but the county really approached them for consideration of this in relation to helping us connect. What's very unique about this disaster was the high percentage of renters. And so, unfortunately, as a renter, it's harder to control your own destiny because you don't have a property to rebuild on, or you can't just go ahead and go through the process of pulling a permit because you have nothing to return to. So new housing construction is going to be important. As John mentioned, there's, obviously affordable housing need across location to help meet a lot of needs that have been identified. I'll bring up Kimo to talk about this, but I would just note in regarding to the acquisition related to that we'll talk about here today, potential acquisition related to water system assets, that this all should really be viewed in conjunction with kind of the things that we have just talked about in the last week or two as well. And I'm sure we'll have further dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, Josiah. Thank you, Chair and members. So what we're talking about is acquiring the water system assets from the Lanipogo Irrigation Company, otherwise known as LIC. So the Lanipogo Irrigation System is a non-potable system and consists of 2 stream diversions, 2 shaft wells, 1 well, 3 reservoirs, booster pumps, and about 19.75 miles of water main appurtenance and appurtenances. Currently, there's 416 customers connections. In 2025, they produced 497 million gallons of water. The purchase price for the system is $1.5 million, and it's been appraised at $955,000. Next slide, please. So as you can see, these are the water sources. So we have LIC well 1. It's drilled and it's not in service due to the pump failure, but the replacement will be included in the purchase price. Then there's Shaft A and Shaft B. They are both tunnels. Shaft A does have a pump installed and is currently in service. Shaft B has no pump installed. And the Lanipogo intake is currently in service. So there's 3 reservoirs. The Maquila Reservoir is 2.5 million gallons. Lanipogo is 2 million gallons, and the Ka'ua Reservoir is 3 million gallons. And there's miscellaneous water lines and booster pumps. So the picture on the left shows LIC well number 1. And the picture on the right is the Maquila Reservoir. Next slide, please. So these are the post-closing improvements that the county is requesting. So first of all, for the Launiupoko Reservoir, we're asking them to dredge and reline the reservoir. The cost of it is about $405,000. For the Maquila Reservoir, we're asking for the same dredge and reline. That cost is $450,000. For the Launiupoko Reservoir, we're asking them to do fencing. That cost is $194,000. For the Ka'ula Reservoir, the fencing is approximately $122,000. Maquila Reservoir fencing is $133,000. For the Waine'e shaft well, we are wanting them to put permanent power. That cost is $500,000. For the Maquila Reservoir, we're asking for some transmission line improvements and upsizing, which will allow the A shaft to pump at its maximum pump capacity, $950,000. Finally, we're asking for some communication system to automate the wells and pumps with fluctuating reservoir levels. Estimate includes computers and software, about $175,000. Total cost, $2.9 million. Next slide.
Thank you, Chair. And then just as we close out, I think you can see there's been a lot of progress thus far. There's still community needs out there that we're working, the county, the federal, the state, all of our partners working together to help, continue to resolve and provide support for our residents. Need for housing is still there. Transitioning into how we talked about potential opportunities that we're working on, this being one of them. To develop more housing. And then, of course, as we all know, water is needed in relation to that. And not only just on the public stewardship side, but also on, environmental protection, the need for housing and ensuring protection as well of all of our Kuleana users and the traditional and customary uses as well. So I think we're turning it over to Joe for a presentation, and then we'd be happy to answer any questions that the committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you. I've been informed we have Joe until 2:30, and then after he leaves, Deputy Director Trista Spear will be online to answer our questions. So thank you, Director Campos.
Thank you. Good afternoon, committee. Joseph Campos, Director, Department of Human Services for the state of Hawaii. We have Deputy Director Trista Spear on the line. So she's actually going to take on the bulk of the presentation because I know who the experts are, and I would rather have her give you exact information than have me give you some interesting figures. All right. So anyway, what I'll talk about primarily is Kalaiola. Right, that was the governor's initiative to figure out what are we going to do with the multiple people who were FEMA ineligible. Because normally during a disaster, those individuals are not really taken into account, and Gov really felt the necessity to address their need. So just to give you kind of a framework, which you're all very familiar with, around mid-August, by August 15th of 2023, DHS with the county had moved approximately 1,700 people into housing solutions, temporary at the time. 996 were in hotels, and Deputy Director Spear created a really innovative program utilizing the short-term rentals to house an additional 790 individuals. So altogether, about 1,700 individuals were in a temporary type of setting. So then Kalaiola, you can go to the next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So Kalaiola, 450 units. It's actually the site itself above Leali'i has 432 units. we will be putting the additional 18 units onto private property as residential dwelling units. So families have the ability to stay in a place while they're building their homes and then turn that into, hopefully, into the rental market. So that's just a photo coming in on the airline. We have the white roofs are the Kilohana, which is FEMA's solution. And the one to the top of that is Kalaiola, 57 acres, probably one of the biggest projects. In addition, a brand new water system and a tank, a water tank for 500,000 gallons of water. All of this is designed to support DHHL in the future. And we will have the program go through August of 2029, and then it will be converted over to DHHL. It is my understanding after Cully Watson came over to look at the site as it is now, that he's envisioning using it as it is, as a transition for beneficiaries while they're building their homes to have a place to be able to call home. So I'm really excited about that prospect. In addition, currently, we have 358 households occupying 396 units. So you can see that the way it was designed was to address the multi-generational ohana that we have. So that's why there's the difference between 358 households in the 396 units. We are repairing some of the studios that didn't come out the way we anticipated. And so probably within another 2 months, we'll have the full 432. We have currently 960 individuals housed at Kalaiola. We have had 15 households move away from Kalaiola into their pre-disaster housing. So I'm really happy about that success, right? And that's the whole purpose. I do want to raise the issue, right, that this does go through August of 2029. And that's why the partnership with the county is so important with the DCMP in order to figure out what are we going to do with the 960 or 1,000 plus individuals that may not have a housing solution come August of 2029. So with that said, I'll turn it over to Deputy Director Spear, and she can talk about the RAP gap and then go into the DCMP program itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Deputy Spear.
Thank you. Thank you to the council for having this opportunity and to Director Campos. I'm happy to go into as much detail as the council would like and answer questions later, but as Joe indicated, in those early days, we helped lead the initiative of utilizing short-term rentals for that temporary shelter. And then it grew into the rental assistance program, where we were able to convert those short-term rentals into really a long-term rental utilizing state funds for individuals who were deemed ineligible for FEMA rental assistance and housing programs. And that program, known as the RAP program, ended up being so successful and so far under budget that we were able to utilize some of those budget savings to launch a secondary program, which became known as the GAP program, which is another rental assistance program that did not cover 100% of the rental assistance, but the gap that a household needed if they if they were able to afford, say, $1,000 towards rent, but they needed help with the additional $1,000 or say $1,200, that the program could provide that. In all these two programs, they launched November 30th of 2023, sort of dovetailing off of the end of that initial shelter timeframe that we did with the donated stays. The end of November through the end of August of 2025. As you can see, we're really proud that we were able to help not only with the housing management with those programs, but also working closely in conjunction with the disaster case management program. All of those 340 households, when the RAP and GAP program ended, successfully transitioned to their next housing solution. As you can see, 48% of those households, we were able to transition them by August of 2025 to a permanent long-term housing solution. And then the 44%, we were able to transition to another interim housing solution, such as the Hawaii Interim Housing Program, either Hale'ula Ie, Santa Kala Iola, etc. And then the small delta are the few households that exited our program during the life of that program. Next slide, please. And then the next few slides, which we can roll through, is just a reminder with regards to the disaster case management program. We wanted to design a disaster case management program within the community that was really responsive to this community and this particular disaster. And so we viewed it as sort of a bike wheel, if you will, with the disaster case management program at the center, connecting survivors with any and every unmet need that they may have resulting from the disaster. The program was designed to serve everyone, whether they were FEMA eligible or ineligible. Next slide, please. And so right now, these are our program totals and metrics as of this Monday, so as of just 2 days ago. Currently, we still have 1,204 cases for a total of 2,852 individuals active in the program receiving our services. We have successfully been able to close 898 cases. What does that mean? That means 898 cases of households have achieved their recovery plan. So all of their identified unmet needs from the wildfire have been met. We're really thrilled for that. Over the lifetime of the program, which we launched in November of 2023, we've served just shy of 7,000 individuals. And so most of this program has been funded by a FEMA grant, but knowing that that can take time, we worked quickly with Hawaii Community Foundation, as well as Red Cross, and we're able to launch the program in November before we had even heard whether or not FEMA would approve our grant application to begin to bring these services to the community as quickly as possible. We've worked on, if you recall, that recovery wheel. We've made over 19,000 referrals that has resulted in over $173 million worth of services. So I don't have any specific statistics on this point, but what I can say is dovetailing off of Mr. Nishita and Mr. Smith's comments, they have metrics that Maui County is the fastest in the nation. Anecdotally, with other nationwide partners and experts in disaster case management, they have said this has been an overwhelmingly successful program, that you normally don't see this high correlation between the program, the referrals, and resulting in direct impacts. We're very proud that we've been able to do that. And we've approached this program to try and build local capacity within our existing providers and within our local organizations to do that direct service with the community. Next slide, please. Our current population groups, you can see 55% of our cases are children, about a third are seniors. We track access and functional needs, language access. We work very hard and brought in providers that are able to ensure that we can give every survivor language access and be culturally responsive to their needs and sensitive to that. Next slide. This is a little bit more of a breakdown. If you're wondering, okay, what does that 173 million look like? This is a little bit more of a category of the breakdown of the number of referrals made to some of the top organizations and providers that have been able to meet those needs. Housing, as you can see, is a big one. NEO, who's been leading and administering the Maui Relief Project with the TANF funds and the like. Next slide, please. Currently, the housing landscape, going more directly to some of the agenda items today, we know through the disaster case management program that housing remains the #1 unmet need and source of stress for those clients and survivors that we are serving. This provides the current snapshot of the breakdown of our clients' housing landscape. So there's 382 total cases that are in state housing programs. There's 440 in the FEMA housing programs. We are closely monitoring the FEMA direct lease as it's continually reported that is becoming a pressure point. And so we're thankful for the support of Maui County to not only continue this program, which I'll get to momentarily, but also we've been working very closely with Mr. Smith and the Office of Recovery for another iteration of an interim, longer-term interim housing recovery program to help meet these needs, and are welcome the opportunity to continue to provide support and any guidance or information from lessons learned through those programs that we have done. Next slide.
Deputy Spear, can I just clarify, when you say cases, is that referring to households or individuals?
It is a household, yes. Sorry.
Okay,
so it could be one case could represent, we have some households that are 23 individuals.
Thank you. Continue.
Thank you. This is just a success story. Every week we try and highlight a success story of progress. And so Family Promise, who's one of the organizations providing those direct services to the population, one of their clients was able to work with a grant and ultimately completion of construction for their home occurred just a month and a half ago. So it's that full circle moment. Next slide, please. And then this is just the pathway to recovery. And you might wonder, why are we ending here? This is the last slide in the presentation. What we're thankful of, again, is Maui Recovery's support for this program to continue, and we're proud to be able to continue it and transition seamlessly. We've been working with Mr. Smith and his office since November of last year to ensure that when the program transitions from a state-led FEMA-funded program to a county-led, county-funded program, that from a survivor perspective, there is no change in services. Their case managers will stay the same. The organizations will stay the same. The program and the day-to-day operations will stay the same, but it is going to be county-led, and which at this stage of recovery, of course, with everything going on and all the amazing programs that Josiah and John presented today, that absolutely makes sense. And we're very thankful that they've been so supportive of this program so that we can keep that continuity of care to the community moving forward.
Thank you, Deputy Spear. It's been a long 3 years. Okay. I feel tired just watching that.
I'm sorry, I might have gone a little bit too fast. I'm trying to be cognizant of timing, and I'm remiss for not acknowledging all of you and your support and work that you've done, not only for this program, the housing programs, and the community as a whole. And so we're very thankful for that.
We'll now move on to public testimony for DRIP 4. Written testimony is encouraged and can be submitted via the e-comment link at mauicounty.us/agendas. Testifiers wanting to provide oral testimony should join the online meeting via the Microsoft Teams link printed on today's agenda, or call into the phone number which is also on today's agenda. For individuals wishing to testify via Teams, please raise your hand by clicking on the Raise Your Hand button near the top right of your screen. For those calling in, please follow the prompts via phone. Staff will add names to the testifier list in the order testifiers sign up or raise their hands. For those on Teams, staff will lower your hand once your name is added. Staff will then call the name you're logged in under or the last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your time to testify. At that time, staff will also enable your microphone and video. Please ensure your name on Microsoft Teams appears as the name you prefer to be referred to, or as anonymous if you wish to testify anonymously. If you are in person, please notify staff that you would like to testify anonymously. Otherwise, please state your name for the record at the beginning of your testimony. Oral testimony is limited to 3 minutes. If you're still testifying beyond that time, I will kindly ask you to complete your testimony. Once you're done testifying, or if you do not wish to testify, you can also view the meeting on Akaku Channel 53, Facebook Live, or mauicounty.us/agendas. At this time, staff, will you call the first testifier wishing to testify on DRIP 9.4?
Thank you, Chair. First testifier today is Autumn Ness on Teams, followed by James Langford. Ms. Ness, you can begin your testimony.
Aloha, everybody. My name is Autumn Ness. I am coming to you from a newly constructed house that we are hoping to sell to a ho'okumaho letter holder, which means they can actually use their shopping letter in Lahaina. But we are waiting for our document review. That's been a month. So if anyone knows a guy that can tell us where we're at, that would be great. Sorry for the plug. I know that this is incredibly complicated. And so first, I just want to commend everyone for this work, especially know how complex it is to work with federal funds of this nature. So I do have some concerns and some red flags, but I just want to start by saying that all of those are secondary to the mad respect I have for the big folks, the big work you folks are doing. First, the big concern from a lot of the land trust team and the HUI that we're a part of is water source. I won't go too much into that, but I just got to get it on the record. You know, there are shovel-ready projects in West Maui that have been held up due to water source for a long time, and there's a lot of questions in the public about why this is different. I do have to say that one of the coolest things about the way LCLT is buying previously developed lots and taking them off the market and putting them into protected inventory is that we can create new housing inventory with no new land entitlements or water source. So we don't talk about that enough as an entity, that we can create new housing without building undeveloped land out. There was talk early on about prioritizing folks, especially for rebuild in this area, whether it's KS or the county, people who shouldn't rebuild, like because sea level rise or limited parking things. And this kind of housing was gonna be reserved for those folks. But that's not what this is at this point. This is just more units. And it just feels like this is another development because water doesn't care who's developing, you know? The other question we have is the length of time to develop raw land. I have a question, I guess, like how many years is this? Oh, specifically, I'm talking about the single family new construction policy. Sorry, I forgot to clarify. This is a 70-page document that we just read. And I'm wondering what's the projected timeline on this? I mean, we all hear that like a project is 7 years from land purchase to development. So like, why would this be different, you know? Next question I have is there someone, and this, I'm just, with all due respect, after reading this particular document, I really want to know if there's someone who's well-versed in permanent affordability and land trust style ground leases on the team who wrote some of this policy. I ask because sections like 10.1 homebuyer requirements are so far removed from national best practices, it kind of makes my head spin. Like amortization is really hard math. And that's what we're like, I just don't know who's going to do this. Was that my 3 minutes? Or is that 2 minutes?
Oh, that was 3.
Oh, shucks, I still have a lot to go. Kalamai.
We have a question from member Hajin.
Yeah, that went faster than I thought. Kalamai, guys.
No worries, that was fast. Thank you. Thanks for showing that document. I'm going to go look that up. I haven't seen that yet. My question though, your unit that you're in, you're looking for a certificate of occupancy, or what you looking for?
No, we're ready to sell it. We actually chose a shopping letter holder in our lottery, and that person would like to buy the house. And the reason they can afford it is because the cost of the land isn't factored into. So like, it's really a really rare opportunity. You can use that letter in Lahaina, but our ground lease is being reviewed by Corp Council right now to see how it can layer with the Ho'okumaho documents. And
remember, Hajins, if you had questions about that during discussion, Ms. Toshikio is in the audience who has been working on how to get to yes, I believe.
Okay, great.
And then if there's other things potentially,
thank you.
We may want Ms. Ness as a resource, or is that what you were going to ask for, Member Johnson?
That's correct, Chair. I'd like to ask her a whole bunch of questions. So could we make her a resource?
I'm okay with it. Member Rollins Fernandez, you want to
No
state her
objection, Chair.
expertise? Oh,
Expertise in land trust, specifically in Lahaina.
thank you. Okay, so that wasn't
Oh,
why you raised your hand.
it wasn't, since, well, I'm assuming Ms. Ness would be available to serve as a resource. Okay, and then I was gonna ask about the document, if it's on Granicus or it's on Maui Recovers, or where can I find it?
The Ho'okumuho single family or
I
the
actually
Ho'okumuho.
don't even know where I got this.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll go look. I'll go look.
It's this, it's this.
Single family new construction policy. Got it.
Okay.
Mahalo. Mahalo, Chair.
Hello, Mike.
At the appropriate time, member or Administrator Smith will give you the answer to that question. Maybe write it down so we remember to ask him when we're out of testimony. Thank you. Okay. And will you be able to stay on the line, or do you need us to call you when testimony's over? Stay on the line.
I'll stay on the line. Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks. Okay. Next testifier.
Thank you, Chair. Our next testifier is James Langford, followed by extension 4945 on Teams. Mr. Langford, you can begin your testimony.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you so much for having this meeting today and all of the hard work that you do. I'm a Lahaina resident and wildfire survivor, and I have been privy to living in a lot of these the state facility because I wasn't written on the lease in my place in Front Street Apartments. So I was FEMA not eligible. So I had a really hard time for the past 3 years. Today we saw some CDB disaster recovery fund stuff. I remember the first meeting that was announced when a managing director and Mr. Smith was there. I got to see my representative, Ms. Pelton as well. And I spoke with those gentlemen and said, look, I heard about these grants. I wrote, $2 billion worth of grants and want to get them to you guys. And they're like, oh, give us a few months is what I heard from those gentlemen. So I'm curious, like I'm a Lahaina wildfire survivor. I lived in the facilities that was run by the state, and I have a court case about that in 8 days. So just wanted to let you folks know if you have any information about any criminal activity or things that we can correct so that our Keiki and Kupuna don't have to go through what I went through to get to the truth for you folks and how it was living and how the money was used in those facilities and the corruption and the and all that. I write this software, this auditing software, so I'm testifying to bring it to you guys, give you notice that I'll be submitting this in court in 8 days, and to have you really go through these audits, because it's not hard to find where things went sideways with the process. And as we bring it into county control, you're all excellent, amazing people, who want to do the right thing. So sorry, Yuki, I'm talking. So I can hear you. Sorry. So going forward, I encourage everyone, you have 8 days notice to really allow for our Keiki and Kupuna to have the truth so that they can have the real recovery that comes from the peace of aloha in truth that we all take an oath to. So, and the fact that you guys haven't talked to me in this whole time, just because you maybe don't like what I'm saying, is hard as a human. It hurts my feelings, knowing that I taught a lot of children and stuff. So Anyway, I love you guys. You're doing the best you can, and I got your back the best I can. Sorry about the FBI taking out that bad cop. You guys take care. There's more of that to come.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing no questions, thank you so much for your testifier. Next, the phone testifier.
Love you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Next, we have a phone caller in, last four digits 4945. He'll be followed by Kay Anderson. Please begin your testimony.
Hello, hello. Can you read me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, hello, Luna Ho'omolu Fulton. It's old Jesse Law calling. I'm Menwa Luca. I'm close by. I won't reveal my location because I'm very suspicious of the Justice Department intervening in the legislative process. I heard a lot of stuff there. I was trying to keep notes. It would be a lot easier for me to follow along the discussion and the whole process if I was allowed. I hear that Mr. Nishika's there. I think he's in charge of stuff, but then I asked him about the restraining order and the trespass order. He'd probably shrug his shoulders and say, "Oh, it's not him, it's them." So that's one of my grumbles about that. Is I've never seen the person who's restrained from being around, that they're scared of me and stuff, in the county clerk's office. Never seen her around the Kukui building there, so why am I restrained? It said restraining orders at the campus, so why am I restrained from sitting there in the air conditioner with you guys and watching all the slides with you guys? So that's, why is the public paying for all that, and there's hardly any public being involved? I heard the word community at least 12 times from Mr. Nishita. And I'm wondering which community he's talking about with the word stakeholders, but I don't hear anybody participating but good old Langford and Autumn Ness. I'm grateful to hear at least their testimony. And tomorrow, you know what I'm talking about, Chair Paulson. I think you get I wouldn't say the word brainwash is exactly accurate, but I used to hear you say about public access and public participation. You used to say it almost at every meeting when you first started, but I hardly ever hear you say it at all now. So I'm concerned about the, I'm sure, I think you're doing a pretty good job with that Hawaiian stuff, if that's what you want to call it. I've learned that the correct word is Kanaka Maoli. And I know that Councilmember Rollins Fernandez is going to chime in on this stuff about the section of the community that I can't even really, I feel like I really can't talk about the families on this island because I'm kind of on the outskirts of the family, but once in a while I feel like I'm part of it. And so I'm hoping that one of the testifiers will be that Royal House of Hawaii person that always talks about. I heard the word Kuleana users in there.
Members, any question for the testifier?
Some of the Kuleana users will be able to participate in this process.
Seeing none. Thank you so much for your testimony. Going on to Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, next is Kay Anderson, to be followed by Carolyn Aweloa. Okay, Ms. Anderson, you should be able to begin your testimony now. Thank you.
How do I do my mic?
We can hear you,
now?
Ms. Anderson.
Okay.
Yes,
Apologize for that.
no problem.
Chair and council members, I want to thank you and Discovery team or the team, everyone that's been working on this project, for everything that you've done to make this happen. It's just amazing job that you've done. But I also want to mention that we can never lose sight of the 102 souls that were lost in this terrible tragedy. I definitely don't want to ever see this happen again. I certainly hope, and the individuals that spoke today, there was one gentleman that did mention some things that they were trying to do to try and prevent future fires in the future. And I hope during this whole process that there was some parallel work being done to put together some sort of plan for the county, a disaster preparedness plan for the individuals like myself, for the community, so that they know how to evacuate when there's a certain disaster. And the key to that is it has to be communicated throughout the whole county. I'll give you an example of that last disaster that we had, evacuation disaster, was a tsunami. And it was in the area that I lived. And we had a total traffic jam that lasted 3.5 hours. If it had been a fire, it would have been a disaster 3 times the size of Lahaina. So I'm asking you to please, as you move along here, put together a sound community disaster plan that is well communicated throughout the county. I used to live in Florida, and I follow them, and their plan is immaculate. They have one-way streets all the way around their highways. Everyone knows what to do, how to do it, and it's very smoothly. I don't want to see this happen again. In the 1998 Kihei-McKenna community plan that's in effect now for 30 years, I pulled out 7 sections where they said to make sure that infrastructure was in place, and it never happened over 30 years. And in the new South Mountain Community Plan, the word require infrastructure for construction was removed. I certainly hope the council members take heart in that when you go and look to approve this plan and make sure it's put back in place. We have to have the right infrastructure to help prevent these disasters. I will send you a new study that I just received. It's a research study. It's in PNAS, and they used Lahaina and 2 California wildfire disasters in that study. And they actually used Wailea and McKenna. And it shows that we are going to have another wildfire fatality based on the lack of infrastructure. Mahalo, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson, for your testimony. Members, any questions for the testifier? I don't see any questions for you. I just did want to mention that Maui Emergency Management Agency is the one, is the entity within the county that's working on those things. But you are right. Us as council members need to prioritize infrastructures and evacuation routes when approving plans and things like that. So thank you so much for your testimony.
And communication, I think that's key. It has to be clearly communicated because we have a high level of tourists. So we have to make sure that the hotels communicated and the residents that are here part-time know how to do it. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Ms. Alveloa.
Thank you, Ms. Aveloa, followed by Kai Nishiki.
Hey, aloha. Mahalo nui for the opportunity to be here to participate in this meeting and opportunity to share and testify. I'm actually here today wearing my Kahuvai Coalition hat. Kahuvai Coalition is a coalition of community organizations in West Maui that advocate and are concerned about water. And that's the nature of my testimony. When we found out about the plan that was presented by the Office of Recovery and the discussions at play, Autumn did a great job of recapping how early part after the fire, these discussions were being had about any new developments would be could be exchanges for other water entitlements in particular. And in that way, we wouldn't be affecting our water budget too much. In the Kauai Coalition, we are actively working right now on a water shortage plan. And you know, before the fire, it's not news that Lahaina's water resources are stretched incredibly thin. We are at least at 90% of sustainable yield, but even that sustainable yield is being reevaluated. It's no secret that we're having salt intrusion into our wells. And, you know, we are on a very, very dry part of a small island and our water resources are limited. And with everything that was just shared today, I just did some quick back of the napkin kind math. The DHHL expansion, praise the Lord, the Hawaiians need homes, but that's going to continue, it sounds like, for the foreseeable future as transitional housing. That's at least 108,000 gallons of water a day if that continues. The FEMA county receiving the FEMA units to use also for continued uses of housing, that's an additional 157 units, that's 47,000 gallons a day. Now, if we build out new construction of another 115, that's at least another close to another 40,000 gallons a day. You know, we're already in the red zone with water use in Lahaina. And all of that that was just listed and discussed is new additional water use over and above what we lost in the fire. And so I just really need to come and advocate that as before this discussion really goes too much further and before too much resources are expended, isn't it this committee that passed the Show Me the Water bill? We really need to be conscientious that water resources in Lahaina are already stretched super thin. Adding more and more and more housing units. I know it was an emergency. We needed temporary, but they were all supposed to be temporary, with the exception of the transition to Hawaiian homes. I know the seaworm laws. I know that they have entitlements, but it doesn't change the fact that our aquifer is limited and our water resources are spread thin. And I'm very concerned that we are going to justify the development of more water use, more homes, more areas that are going to use more water because of the emergency. That is important, but we're going to use that to justify and make a bad situation even worse. That's going to jeopardize everybody and really compromise the quality of life and the ability to live in West Maui. So that's what I wanted to come and testify about. Thank you for allowing me to testify and for your time.
Thank you for your testimony, members. Questions for the testifier? Seeing none, I did want to clarify, you spoke about the saltwater intrusion, and at this time, is there a known cause for the saltwater intrusion?
Yeah, it's pretty well documented that in our island aquifers, when there's too much withdrawal from an aquifer, it'll start to suck up that saltwater lens, and that is what is occurring in some of our wells, especially in dry times. And just so you don't have to do the math, I added it all up, and that's almost an additional 6 million gallons of water a day that we've already, you know, that this discussion today is adding to the water budget that is kind of already bankrupt. You know, we've gone beyond living paycheck to paycheck at this point. We're overspending. We're spending what we don't have in water if we continue down this path. So that needs to be looked at very, very carefully and considered before any new developments are approved. And I'm glad we're not voting on anything today, but if this is early in the process and we're discussing these things, this can't be overlooked.
Thank you. Any other questions for the testifier? Seeing none, we'll move on to Ms. Nishiki.
Thank you, Chair Kai Nishiki, followed by the Royal Patented Kingdom.
Aloha, committee chair and members. I'm testifying regarding, some housing solutions, especially on, transitioning from the meeting this morning. And during the last legislative session, Senate Bill 3034 proposed voluntary acquisition of vulnerable coastal properties at a hazard adjusted residual value. And that value would account for future costs of demolition, hazard remediation, monitoring, and shoreline restoration. And I'm referring to possibly the buying of coastal condominiums. There are approximately 2,000 on the Minatoya list in West Maui. So this is a possible solution. And these properties could remain occupied temporarily for residents through short-term renewable leases, only while the properties remain safe. Further expansion, capital investment, and shoreline armoring would be prohibited. And when occupancy is no longer safe, then the structure could be removed, redevelopment prohibited, and our shorelines restored. That proposal allows counties, nonprofits, and land trusts to help manage these properties. Maui County could partner with an organization such as Lahaina Community Land Trust to acquire properties with some years of safe occupancy remaining, and the rent of the units rent those units temporarily to Maui residents. This would provide time-limited housing without misleading local families into investing their life savings into properties with no secure long-term future. Rental revenue could help fund inspections, management, eventual demolition, and shoreline restoration. This would also interrupt the endless cycle of continued investment into aging buildings and failing seawalls, followed by demands for emergency permits, public subsidies, and taxpayer-funded cleanups. So I hope that this committee will have some discussions with the Office of Recovery regarding if they are evaluating the viability of doing so. I know the Ho'okumuho program does have restrictions on residents purchasing shoreline properties and flood zone properties, but I'm not sure if that also applies to the county. So perhaps a county initiated proposal like this could take advantage of federal funding or all the funding that's out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Could you hear the bell?
No,
Oh,
sorry.
you did it perfect because the bell just rang.
Oh.
Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Did you provide that in writing?
I did not, but I can.
That would
I'll
be
go to
great.
e-comment.
Thank
Okay,
you.
mahalo.
Staff, can you call the next testifier?
Thank you, Chair. Our next testifier is representing the Royal Patented Kingdom of the entire country, Ko Hawaii Pa'aina, established by Kamehameha III, returned to heirs by law. You may begin your testimony.
Aloha. Can you guys hear?
Yes, we
Okay.
can. Thank you.
So I see what you guys is doing, I guess, but like, are we like being, or are you guys being like competent, or like, or is this like depraved indifference, right, in the law? Because I'm just curious, and I'm concerned on how, how many people are calling this like a public land trust when these lands are not public at all, on my soul. And because it's royal patented, allodial titled, it's supposed to be given back to the specific Aboriginal descendants of all the specific lands. And if it's not going to be returned to them, the royal patent original title holders and their descendants, then that would be like a great big violation under law, like breaking 172-11 Hawaii statute, and mainly they know how to restore all the lands, especially, and like are you guys just gonna ignore the royal patents? I don't know, because none of the heirs have been contacted. It's highly illegal if you steal these lands and continue to steal these lands and displace the original inhabitants and people that are connected specifically to this land. Their blood is connected specifically to this land, okay? And yeah, is this being competent, or like is this depraved indifference? I wonder. I don't know. Like, because yeah, I'm really concerned on that. And by law, the lands is supposed to be returned back to the specific heirs, because I heard you guys talk about DHHL. DHHL is continuously misplacing these Kanaka Maoli and putting them on lands that don't even belong to them. They need to go back onto all their specific lands that they own forever and ever and ever. Mahalo Keakua and Mahalo Kamehameha III. Because he was the one that made all the paperwork like that. But yeah, please return all the lands back to the specific original title holders and their descendants and call them up, because none of us got contacted or whatever. None of us. All the every single lands, period. Not only just Lahaina, but all the lands. Every single lands. And oh yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Can you call the next testifier, please?
Thank you, Chair. There's currently no one else signed up to testify. I can do a last call if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Thank you. This will be a last call to testify in today's item. If you would like to testify, please raise your hand on Teams using the raise your hand function, or by pressing *5 on your phone if you're calling in. Last call for testimony is 3, 2, 1. Chair, I do see one person wishing to testify.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Kamanu.
Thank you. You can begin your testimony. Mr. Kamanu, you can begin your testimony. Thank you.
Am I muted? Okay. Hello, my kako kayo kamano ko ino. So my concern is the right to purchase. I guess you guys are purchasing the delivery system. Because really the water rights, and if you look in, even if you look at I believe it's HRS 17211. In there, it states that we as the native tenants, Kanaka Maoli, whether we apply or don't apply for a permit, it doesn't interfere with our vested rights. Once vested, once given, cannot be taken, not even constitutionally. So that means we still retain the rights to the water. And yet we are never consulted. Even these purchases of waterways, they also include land commission awards. There were contracts made. Even a plantation, when they came to use them, went to the land commission awardees, Kuleana, to make agreements to use those areas. And so not all of the land is actually free and clear that transports the water to different areas. A lot of those areas also have land commission awards, which means, and according to, and I'm going to reiterate this from my last testimony in another meeting, is that you have your Newlands resolution, which is supposedly your annexation bill, which is actually one paragraph which states that what you actually have privy to, meaning that you have anything outside of that
is overstepping the bounds. So even to include to purchase this from Maui Land and Pine, or whoever you are getting it from, they have to show that they have clear title, that they had somehow have the right to do so, and that the government itself has a right to purchase these lands according to the contract you made in the Republic of Hawaii, which only allots you to deal with 1.8 million acres of land, which does not include private and other types of lands that are outside of that privy. Even in the 2009 testimony from Abercrombie in his position with I believe it was the House, he states that there is only 1.8 million acres, and this was in front of the Federal Resource Commission. So these things need to be looked at. You cannot just bypass them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kamaunu. Members, any clarifying questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony.
Mahalo.
Can you give one more last call for testifiers?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This will be a last call for testimony on today's item. If you'd like to testify, please raise your hand on Teams by using the raise your hand function or pressing *5 on your phone. Last call for testimony is 3, 2, 1. Chair, I see no one else indicating they wish to testify.
Thank you, members. Without objection, I will close public testimony and accept any written testimony into the record. For the public's information, you can continue to submit written testimony through the e-comment function. Members, the time is now 3:05 and we cannot take a recess until we do some discussion. Before we enter into the discussion portion of the discussion, so we have like several themes here going under this one agenda item. And the first theme is questions or discussion around updates to the Maui's long-term recovery plan, including infrastructure and workforce development. That's all pretty much out in the open. I've been told that outlooks on disaster case management program transition from county control from the State Department of Human Services, including transitioning the program's participants from temporary to permanent housing, can be in open session. It's the proposed acquisition of Laniapoko Irrigation Company, Inc.'s water infrastructure assets and a portion of Kamehameha School's lands in Ku'ia to assist with long-term recovery efforts that will need to be in executive session due to the NDA. This meeting is set to last till 4:30. We can go. I don't have a place to be because the Wednesday night community meeting has been moved to August 12th because of the primary election on Saturday. Does anyone have a hard stop where they need to leave at, or do we feel comfortable going beyond 4:30? Hard stop at 4:30. 5. 3:30 doctor's appointment. Okay, so let's do 4:30, I guess. And if we need to recess, we need to recess. The next question I wanted to poll the members, do you want to go straight into executive session, or do you want to talk about the stuff we can talk in open session first? Because with the time parameter of 4:30, I beg, Chair Lee, did you want to go straight into executive session to hear what we couldn't hear in open session? Oh, not really. She has to go pretty soon. Okay, anyone else have any preferences? Remember, Batang
Thank you, Chair. My preference would be for executive session.
to hear it up front. Okay. And so then we will need a motion. And can you clarify, is that we're going into it, you would like to go into executive session to talk about the negotiations or to consult with a lawyer?
So the part I'm most interested in is the KS aspect of it, the King Commitment, the third school.
So negotiations, yeah.
But it has to do with the NDA that was mentioned earlier.
I think it would be under both bases, under 925A3, regarding the negotiations for the acquisition of public property, as well as 925A4 to consult with legal counsel. But staff would like to just first make sure that whatever can be said in open session on the subject is said in open session before we entertain a motion to go into executive. Thank you.
Okay. So it's gonna be regarding the land and the water infrastructure. I'll give 3 minutes per member that raises their hand for any questions that they think is open session worthy. If the lawyer stop or somebody stops us and says that's executive session, write it down and ask when we get into executive session. So by raise of hand, we'll do a 3-minute timer for open session questions regarding KS land purchase or water system infrastructure assets. Anyone open session questions? Okay, no open session questions. Everyone wants to know the sordid details. Okay, got it. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
I
Moved by
move to
member,
go on executive.
second by member Johnson.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand and say
Excuse me, Chair. So this would be pursuant to sections 925A3 and 925A4 of the Hawaii Revised Statutes.
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to read that before we
Please.
take the vote? Oh, before we take the vote. Okay. I thought we read it after because I wasn't sure. I guess we got a sure thing with you folks. All right. Chair, oh, okay. In accordance, so that motion from member Cook and seconded by member Johnson was made in accordance with section 92-5 paren A3 Hawaii Revised Statutes to deliberate concerning the authority of persons designated by the county, the council, or the committee to conduct labor negotiations or to negotiate the acquisition of public property or during the conduct of such negotiations. And section 92-5A4 Hawaii Revised Statutes to consult with legal counsel on questions and issues pertaining to the powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities of the county, the council, and the committee. An affirmative vote of 2/3 is needed. Members present. So we have 7 members present, so we'll need 5 votes. The reason for going into, oh no, that's not it. So now can I call for the question?
Well, Chair,
Oh, go ahead.
not sure. I think we may want to designate the individuals that will be
First, before the
in-
vote.
I think just to be clear on the record.
Yeah, and-
be
Okay.
in there.
If I may, Madam Chair, I just wanted to point out that there is some overlap in the resource personnel between the two items. But I think my understanding is we only can have the designated people who are specific to that item. So I just wanted to point out to the committee that we have potentially different resource personnel for each item. And there is some overlap between the people who respond in each item. So whether that you can combine that together or you need to do them separately.
They would
prefer to
prefer we
be-
do it separately. And when you say each item, are you talking the land and the water?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, which one do you want to do first, land or water? Well, we don't want extra people knowing about land stuff that don't need to know land stuff and extra people about water stuff that don't need to know about. Is everyone okay with land first? And then water second? Okay, land first. Would somebody let us know the land resources that would be in executive session besides myself, member Rollins Fernandez, member Nohe Hodgins, member Yuki Sugimura, member Tom Cook, member Johnson, Member Batangan, and Committee Secretary Yvette Boutillier, and Attorneys Zhao, Ro, Nakata, right?
Thank you, Chair. And then we also have John, Aaron, Christina, Jeannie, and myself who will be the resources for the land piece. Thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me, Managing Director, are all those administrative resources necessary for the executive meeting?
Thank you, Ms. Nakata. Yes, they are necessary given the scope and breadth of the negotiations. Thank you.
Was that sufficient of us saying all the people that will be in executive session for the lawyers' purposes?
Managing Director, could staff please request the titles of each of the administrative representatives?
I know John Smith is the Office of Recovery Administrator, and Aaron Wade is the Deputy Managing Director.
Thank you. Josiah Nishida, Managing Director. Christina Toshikio is with Corporation Counsel, represents OR and assists with our DR efforts. And then Jeannie Sutton is with BDO, who serves as our consultant for our DR efforts. And I guess without disclosing anymore, we would need our DR representatives with us in relation to potential questions that could arise. Thank you.
And then, Mr. Hopper, was it correct when I said Mr. Rowe and Ms. Zhao and yourself?
I believe, yes, all three of us, and then Ms. Toshikio also. Okay, maybe they can clarify. I don't know if Deputy Rowe or Deputy Zhao are needed for this aspect. If you're separating them out, maybe they could state for themselves. I don't know if they have any knowledge that is particular to the land.
Deputy Rowe or Deputy Zhao, are you on the line? And can you clarify if you are here for the water portion or the land portion? Have they been given authority to unmute their microphones? Okay.
Hi, this is Deputy Zhao. I am here for the water portion with respect to the water infrastructure assets. And then when you say the land portion, could you please clarify, are you referring to the portion of the bullet point in the agenda about Kamehameha School's lands in Kuia with the long-term recovery efforts? Okay. I don't believe that I will be needed for that portion. Ms. Toshikio would be able to assist with questions regarding that from the legal perspective.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Rowe, are you also for the water portion? Deputy Caleb Rowe, are you?
Hi, sorry, I just hopped on. Sorry about that. I had stepped out for just a minute.
Are you needed for the land portion of the discussion or the water portion of the executive session discussion, or both?
They're fairly interrelated, so probably both.
Okay, so not Deputy Zhao, yes, Deputy Rowe will be included in executive session. So at this time, the chair would like to call for
Chair, I believe you have to vote first.
Oh, sorry. All those in favor of the executive session going in there with all the folks that we named, raise your hand and say aye.
Chair, you have 7 ayes, 0 noes to excuse Chair Lee and Member Sinensi. Motion passes.
At this time, the chair would like to call for a recess. We will take a recess, I don't know, maybe half hour, 45 minutes or so, and then we will be. Oh, we'll take a 2-minute recess and then we'll reconvene in executive session Got it. I thought I had to say how long we would be in executive session. This meeting of the Disaster Recovery, International Affairs and Planning Committee is now in recess. the Disaster Recovery International Affairs and Planning Committee meeting reconvened. The time is 4:43 p.m. Members, we have just completed our first executive session meeting on DRIP 9:4. We will be recessing till the next regularly scheduled DRIP meeting. At this time, I need our legislative attorney Nakata to provide the summary in accordance with Hawaii Revised Statutes Section 92-4.
Yes, thank you, Chair. During the executive meeting this afternoon, your committee discussed matters subject to Section 92.5A3, negotiations for the acquisition of public property, as well as 92.5A4 to consult with counsel on legal issues. The only issue I would say that was discussed during the meeting, your committee did discuss having to raise an open session if they'd like to pursue it, the policies and procedures related to Ho'okumuho program. Apart from that, everything was covered by the two bases under which the council convened the executive meeting.
Thank you, Attorney Nakata. Member Hodgins.
Thank you, Chair. Just before we adjourn, I wanted to thank everybody for coming and also congratulate them. I heard them very loud and clear when they said how successful they are when working with HUD, and I can't imagine this federal administration is easy to work with. So I just wanted to thank you. I know we went straight into executive session, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair's in. Oh, go ahead, Member Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair, and mahalo, Ms. Nakata. And so for sunshine law purposes, for the Ho'okumuho program, we I brought up the method of managed appreciation and that discussion of the program. So that was supposed to be an open session, and so there it is, an open session. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you. So I'd like to recess this meeting to my next regularly scheduled meeting, which is August 19th at 1:30 p.m. I believe it will still be in this location at the same Microsoft Teams link. If members are able to stick around and if Mr. Mitchell is on, I did tell a testifier from this morning, we would check in on the Haleola EA project, or if Managing Director Nishita knows. There's rumors that everyone in Haleola EA have been asked to move as of the end of this month. There was also some complaint about mold. Can you shed any light on any of that, or if Mr. Mitchell is on the line, just because we had alluded to it in the previous meeting?
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if, I see Director Mitchell on. I'll reserve comment till after Director Mitchell comments. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair, for the question. I'm not familiar with the mold issue. That's new as of today, so we can certainly look into that with Paramount, the building management company. And I know that they have been working on slowly decompressing, but they are aware that we have paused the RFP process, so that urgency was no longer needed. So I'm not sure why they would be continuing to do that immediately, but they do need to have a decompression process going through into the beginning of next year, when we would be taking over the property in February 27.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell, for that information. I did text you the contact information of the testifier that was concerned with it. So if you would like to follow up with her.
Yep, I'll follow up tomorrow morning.
Thank you so much. Members, any last minute love letters to any of your favorite administrators or pats on the back, anything before I call this meeting in recess?
I just want to tell staff and everybody great job. Extremely difficult to go in and out of executive session, and has been very seamless considering that we're all camping out. Thank you, and Chair, thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you to all the hard workers out there. Sorry we couldn't. It was a ambitious agenda, so I'm glad I didn't have anything already scheduled for my next regularly scheduled meeting. Thank you, and we'll be back. This meeting is in recess.